Do you know that there's a small village in the middle of England that most people will never set foot in? Not because it's dangerous, not because it's private, but because on a certain day in the year 1943, every human who lived there was told to leave, and they were never allowed back. What happened to Imber wasn't a disaster. It wasn't an accident. It was a decision. And by the end of this film, you will find out exactly what that decision was and why, to this day, it has never been undone. Today, a heavy silence hangs over Imber. The village sits locked within an active military firing zone on Salisbury Plain, used for combat exercises for more than 80 years. Except for a few designated days, the public cannot enter. The physical remnants of community life still line the empty lanes. The medieval church of St. Giles stands alongside the shell of the Bell Inn, surrounded by ruined stone cottages. There are no residents, no open shops, and no daily activity. Imber remains held in absolute suspension, concrete proof of a loss that never ended. Before the wire and warning signs, Imber was defined by its quiet survival. The Domesday Book of 1086 recorded the settlement under the lordship of Ralph of Mortimer as a small community of just 7 households. For centuries, extreme isolation on the high Wiltshire Downs served as a protective shield. By 1931, the census registered 152 residents. This was a self-contained working parish bound to the chalk soil, shaped by the daily rhythms of sheep farming and harvest. Children attended the village school, families gathered at the chapel, and blacksmith Albert Nash worked the forge. Neighbours met at the Bell Inn. On Sundays, the 6 bells of St. Giles called the community together, echoing across a valley that had known only the slow, peaceful passage of generations. The isolation that once protected Imber became its undoing. Since 1897, the War Office had been acquiring land across Salisbury Plain, transforming the vast downland into a military estate. By 1927, the military began buying up the farms surrounding Imber, leasing them back to tenants. By 1932, the state owned the entire surrounding landscape, completely encircling the village. The trap sprung in the autumn of 1943. Preparing for the invasion of Europe, the military needed a realistic environment to train American troops in street fighting. On November 1st, 1943, the War Office summoned the 150 residents to the schoolroom. They were handed a written notice, giving them 47 days to leave. The deadline was December 17th. Families packed up generations of life, loading furniture, crops, and livestock onto carts. They went quietly, comforted by an official promise. This was temporary, and they could return 6 months after the war. They did not lose their village to time, but to paperwork. When peace came in 1945, the gates remained locked. The War Office refused to surrender the land, declaring the high downs of Salisbury Plain too valuable for military training to release. Throughout the post-war years, displaced families fought to reclaim their homes. Their struggle culminated in 1961, when former residents took the Ministry of Defence to the Wiltshire County Court. The legal challenge ended in defeat. The court ruled that the wartime promises of return were political statements, not legally binding contracts. The land belonged to the state. Yet, while ownership was lost, remembrance remained. Former villagers established an annual memorial service at St. Giles, keeping their connection to the soil alive. Unyielding administrative policy achieved what no physical disaster could, permanently sealing Imber away under the quiet authority of paperwork. Today, Imber returns to the living only in brief intervals around Christmas and the August bank holiday. During these windows, descendants return to walk the quiet lanes, placing family memories against the empty stone shells. At the heart of the ruin, the medieval church of St. Giles remains consecrated, its bells ringing for occasional services, a fragile thread of continuity. But with every passing year, the generation that remembers the living village of 1943 grows smaller. If you have visited Imber or know of other forgotten places erased by history, share your story in the